This is Imaginary Me, where we see through the illusion of the separate self. Welcome back. It's Imaginary Me. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the doer, chooser, or decider that many of us think we are, when in fact there is no one doing, choosing, or deciding. Now, that's a long phrase, doer, chooser, decider. I have a shorthand for that entity or non-entity. I call it Imaginary Me. If you're wondering where that Imaginary Me title comes from, it's just a shorthand for the lack of a personal self that's supposedly behind the scenes pulling the strings, thinking the thoughts, doing the actions, when there actually isn't one. It's imaginary. But it's so powerful an illusion that we have convinced ourselves that it's real. In your experience, you've never seen a doer, a chooser, or a decider. You have assumed that there is one there doing all of those things. If you look in your experience, you won't find one. This is a core understanding on the pathless path of non-duality. But there's a little bit more nuance in this than might appear on the surface. In many non-dual circles, you'll hear some type of phrase like, there's no one here and there's nothing to do. That's true. There is no one here, no personal self, that can do or not do anything. And yet actions happen, decisions are made, things are done. But there's no one here doing any of that. It just happens. And at best, you could say you are the witness thereof. You're the witness to all of that. But then the temptation becomes, well, if nothing is decided or done or chosen, I'll just sit on the couch and wait for enlightenment. Which would be fine too. I don't have a problem with that either. But what often is left out of that pronouncement that there's no one here and there's nothing to do is that the truth of that is absolute. And it comes from the absolute stance. If you are standing as awareness, if you are standing as the absolute, there is certainly no one here and nothing to do. But as the sovereign being that you are, you have the ability, so to speak, to choose whether you want to adopt that absolute stance, or, still knowing who you are, you can adopt the character in the movie. You can pretend again to be the personal self who does things, has free will, who decides, who chooses, or seems to. In other words, what I'm getting at is when you realize that you are the sovereign being and you have fully integrated that absolute within, you know who you are, you are self-realized, which means that you know your true nature. When you have done that, when that understanding has dawned upon you, then you can choose, so to speak, without a chooser, to adopt the personal realm where there seems to be a chooser, a decider. And you can speak as if those things are true, knowing full well that that's just part of the movie, that none of those things are absolutely real. So what I'm saying is that depending on your stance, you can still interact with people and talk about decisions that need to be made, choices that need to be made. You don't have to pretend all the time that you need to talk a certain way, you need to act a certain way, and to nullify any potential misunderstanding that there's actually someone here who's deciding and doing things. Self-realization is about freedom, not restriction. So sometimes I talk about choosing your stance, whether you choose to be in the personal mode or you choose to take the absolute stance of unbound, effortless awareness, of effortless being. Those two things are not contradictory if you understand your true nature. When you are in the silence of your home, and you are just alone doing things on your own, there's no need to adopt a personal self and pretend that there's someone there doing or choosing or deciding anything. You are just part of that flow. You are that flow. You are the totality. And when someone knocks on your door or calls you on the phone, you pick it up and all of a sudden you're Bob again, or Marie, or James, or whatever. And you don't have to pretend otherwise. I don't think you get very far with your friends and family if you answer the phone, "Hi, effortless being here. There's no one here. There's nothing to do. Speak." No, that's an absurd example, actually. The first thing to do is to realize your true nature is effortless, unbounded, aware being. That frees you up to play the part of the character with even more gusto, to play the part of a doer, a chooser, a decider, with greater freedom, knowing that it's just a pretend role, that you never actually become any of those things or people. You forever and eternally remain what you always have been, which is that effortless, aware being. You've never become a person, nor has anyone. So you can play the part of the person and take that stance when you need to, and then return to the absolute stance when that is appropriate. And there's no one, I say choose it, there's no one choosing that either. It just happens that way. So enjoy your freedom. That's what it's all about. That's all for now. Until next time, take care and enjoy yourself.